Yo, what is good, YouTube? Krishan checking back in with another video. In today's video, we will be going through the list of every bodybuilder that is currently qualified for the 2024 Mr. Olympia, men's open division, of course. And without a doubt, outside of my Mr. Olympia predictions, this is definitely one of my favorite videos to make every year. And huge credit to RX Muscle for this image. And there's no need for us to go through this list name by name because we are going to break these guys down one by one. I'll try not to say too much because I want to go into detail during my 2024 Mr. Olympia predictions. And if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let's go ahead and get started. So we're actually going to start with the guys that are not going to be competing in this year's Olympia, but they are on the qualified list, starting with Nathan Diasha. And I'm pretty sure no one is surprised that Nathan isn't doing this year's Olympia. His coach, Boss of Outlaw, recently said on a podcast that Nathan isn't doing this year's Olympia simply because he wants to improve. And Stefan also highlighted that the reason Nathan isn't competing isn't due to legal issues. So you guys can take from that what you will, but that's what Boss of Outlaw said. Nathan will not be at the O. Now, Tonio Burton will not be at this year's Olympia, but Tonio actually pulled out of the show. Tonio just wants to focus on making improvements, and I think this is a great decision. Also, I believe within the past 2 years, Tonio has done about 6, maybe even 7 shows. He moved up to the Open from 212 and never really had a full offseason to grow. So again, I think this is a great decision for Tonio. He's 8th in the world. He makes improvements. He'll be able to move up. Now, this is a guy that I hate putting in this video every single year. But as of right now, Beirut Tabani does not have a visa. And as of now, he will not be at the Mr. Olympia. Of course, we're hoping that things change. But as far as I know, Beirut hasn't heard a response from last year or even the year before about a visa. But fortunately, he did win the Dubai Pro and get a $100,000 check. So that softens the blow a little bit. But as of now, those are the 3 guys that will not be making it to the O. And of course, Beirut could still potentially make it. Now let's talk about 3 guys at once because I found this great video courtesy of Gilco Productions. We have our current reigning Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford. Of course, by winning the Mr. Olympia, he's qualified for life. Former Mr. Olympia, Hadi Chupin, who is also qualified for life. And Samson Dowda qualified by placing top 3 at last year's show. Hadi Chupin also got 2 extra qualifications by winning the 2 Arnold Classics in Ohio and the UK. Samson also got an additional qualification by winning the Romania Pro following last year's Olympia. As of right now, I would say most people are assuming that this is going to be the top 3 once again at the 2024 Mr. Olympia. But there's no telling what's going to be in my predictions. And also qualified for life, we have the 15th Mr. Olympia, our 2019 Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry. And I've been saying this entire year that Nick Walker is the most counted out guy going into this year's O. But I forgot about Brandon, which really means he truly is the most counted out guy going into this year's show. I haven't heard Brandon in top 5 predictions, top 6. Honestly, I haven't really heard anyone even talk about the guy. But to be fair, he isn't posting many updates. I'm looking forward to seeing what the former Mr. O can bring. Now, speaking of the mutant Nick Walker, he is qualified for this year's Olympia by winning the 2024 New York Pro, edging out Martin Fitzwater. Nick was unable to compete at last year's Olympia due to suffering a hamstring injury prior to the show, but Nick is hoping to make a great comeback to the stage. At the Pittsburgh Pro and in New York, he had some slight issues with the gut. A lot of people are counting this guy out. Not expecting him to be top 3. Some people not top 5. Some people not top 6. I would not count out the mutant Nick Walker. This guy has a crazy mindset. I know that everyone in the sport is extremely motivated, but truly, this guy's mindset reminds me of Jay Cutler. Not the physique, but the mindset. And Jay would also agree with that statement. And next up, we have the man, the myth, the Mona Lisa, Andrew Jacked, who is qualified for this year's Mr. Olympia by winning the 2024 Texas Pro, which he did in very impressive fashion. And as far as where is Andrew projected to place it at this year's Olympia, that is extremely hard to say. On a daily basis, I hear everything from 1st place to 5th place. Probably in every video I make and I talk about Andrew, there's comments saying you're crazy, he's going to win the O. And there's also comments saying he's going to be 5th or 6th place. You guys are free to let me know in the comment section below What are your thoughts on Andrew Jack? As I've been saying recently, I'm currently thinking anywhere from 3rd to 6th place. Andrew is incredible in all of the front shots, but he does still need more development in the side shots and the back shots, and it's all just lower body development. Andrew has a world-class upper body, has truly made improvements to the back, but with a physique like this, guys, who knows? And next, we have Hunter Labrada, who was qualified for this year's O by winning the 2024 Italy Pro, edging out Andrea Presti. And as you guys can see from the video, Hunter brought very impressive conditioning to this show, really hoping that he can nail it at the Mr. Olympia. Unfortunately, historically, Hunter is a guy that is typically better at the shows earlier in the year and comes in a little bit off to the O, but we're all hoping this year is going to be different. It looks like Hunter has finally got it together. Now let's talk about Martin Fitzwater, who was qualified for this year's Olympia by winning the 2024 Detroit Pro, edging out Good Vito. But what you guys are looking at right now is Martin at the New York Pro, where he took a very close 2nd place to the mutant Nick Walker. I wouldn't say that Martin is a dark horse as far as the top 10, but maybe as far as the top 5, top 6. I've heard some predictions that have this guy in the top 5. And Martin is a very good bodybuilder. He's going to come in bigger than he was at the New York Pro. And if Nick Walker is a serious threat to the top 3, top 4, top 5, if Martin was right there, why is he not a threat to the top 3, top 4, top 5? Now let's switch over to Rafa Brandão. Rafa is qualified for this year's O by winning the 2024 Arnold Classic Brazil, edging out Tonio Burton as well as Good Vito. You guys know I'm very, very high on Martin as well as Rafa Brandão. I believe both of these guys on the right day in the right situation could definitely find themselves within that 6th place spot at this year's O, possibly higher. Just depends on how these guys show up. Now let's talk about the conqueror, William Bonac. William qualified for this year's Olympia by winning the 2024 M-Pro Classic, surprisingly, edging out Beirut's Tabani as well as the heavy favorite and current reigning champion at that time, Michael Krizo. Bonac also took runner-up to Beirut's Tabani at the Dubai Pro. Bonac is constantly being counted out, but he showed us this year he can still revive his physique just as he's done in the past. Potential dark horse as far as the top 10 goes. I haven't really heard Bonac in a lot of people's top 10 predictions, but he could definitely be top 10. Now let's talk about the beast, Akeem Williams. The footage that you guys are currently looking at is from this year's Arnold Classic, where Akeem brought an incredible package to the finals, but Akeem actually got his qualification for this year's O by winning the 2024 Toronto Pro. Akeem has been competing for a while. He has been as high as top 6 at the Mr. Olympia. Typically what holds him back is his conditioning and also the back, but since working with Chris Aceto, it seems like they really got the conditioning down, and I'm excited to see the beast on stage in under 2 weeks. And next up we have John Jewett, who was qualified for this year's O by winning the 2024 Vancouver Pro, and as you guys can see, John brings insane conditioning. Former 212 guy, took a little bit of time off. He's already gained over 20 pounds of muscle. He's probably going to be weighing in the 230s on stage at the Mr. Olympia. And I know I'm saying everyone is a dark horse, everyone can get into the top 10, but that just means we're going to have a great show. And we also have Mo Fuda, who was qualified for this year's O by winning the 2024 Chicago Pro. Mo is another guy that's coached by Boss of Outlaw, who seems to bring all his guys in incredible shape. And he has a lot of guys in this show as well who could very well end up placing at the top 10. Will Mo Fuda be one of those guys? And next up, we have John De La Rosa, who got his qualification for this year's O by winning the 2024 Tampa Pro. And interesting, he actually took out Mo Fuda at this show. It's going to be interesting to see these guys match up at this year's Olympia, but happy to see John going to the O. And last but not least, last 2 guys that are qualified for this year's Olympia. On the left, we have Theo LaGuerrier, won last year's Japan Pro, and on the right, we have Bruno Santos, who won the last qualification of the year at the Europa Pro, surprisingly edging out Andrea Presti. But these are all of the guys qualified for the 2024 Mr. Olympia, which will be held in exactly about 2 weeks from the time of me recording this video on October 11th, October 12th. You guys are free to let me know in the comment section below what are your current predictions for the show, but be looking out very, very soon because I will be dropping my predictions. But I'm Krishan from Go Fitness. As always, I hope you guys did indeed enjoy this video. That is it. I'm out.